So on the agenda today, we have a couple of things to cover. Nothing huge and earth-shattering, but nevertheless interesting things. Matt has opened a ticket or a PR or an issue for uh, for a hackathon that Juniper is doing, where we actually want to leverage Energy Labs, and so some images have to be built for it. VSRX, we're gonna finally. We at one point we had that booting and working, but it was incredibly slow, and I think now that's on packet. We might be able to get away with actually booting VSRX in a reasonable amount of time, and so that's exactly what Matt will be working on is VSRX and some other security related things because it's a security hackathon. So Kali Linux, which comes if you guys aren't familiar with it, they have it's a Linux distro that has a whole bunch of security tools built into it for all malware analysis and doing port scans and all those kind of things. And that so we'll have an image for that. That's actually a great idea. We know that security is a big reason for network automation. It's a huge motivator for companies to adopt automation in the first place. And security automation necessarily touches the network. So I think having these images available is probably a good idea. If if you guys have any thoughts on other security related things you'd like to see available for curriculum lessons, just leave comments. Open an issue on the NRE curriculum repo with what you'd like to see or what maybe you would like to build as for an image, and we'll go from there. There are also Matt's looking at redoing the. Speaking on behalf of Matt, who is here. We waited for Matt. Now I'm going to speak for him. Matt's also working on.
That's fine. I'm getting ready to jump in a taxi anyway, so feel free.
Okay. He's working on the VQFX Lite image, which is the image that we commonly use for all of our lessons now for standing up a VQFX. The thing is, the boot time on the VQFX Lite was a little rough, to say the least. So in order to cut the times down, we actually created snapshotted images in order so that things would boot a little bit faster. And there's 3 snapshots. So just so everyone has a little bit of history, the reason why there's 3 different VQFX images is because when it boots, random MAC addresses are assigned to the interfaces. And if you use if you don't snapshot the image and then you just reuse that image, let's say 3 times, and you'll end up with 3 VQFX, oh my goodness, VQFXs, all with the same set of MAC addresses, which turns out breaks your lessons when you're peering over those interfaces. So we actually had to boot from scratch 3 different ones and then snapshot each of the 3 of them so that we could have fast booting images with unique MAC addresses. We think that we could make a faster booting VQFX Lite image. So Matt's also opened PR on that. If you want to test that out, or help build actually any image related thing, then just jump in on that PR or on the issue and and start leaving comments or whatever you'd like to do. I found an issue with the Cumulus VX image I had previously uploaded. The very last command I used preparing that image was adding the antidote user to some groups so that it could run the Cumulus net command without using sudo, and that worked. Unfortunately, I left a command line option off the user mod command, which deleted at the same time. It deleted antidote from all the other groups it was in, and so therefore it was no longer able to sudo. and it hadn't occurred to me that I had done that. So I fixed that, and I'll be uploading that today. Um, the status on the FRR image, I'm actually putting a pause on all the tools needed to automatically build it, so that I can manually build an image and just put it into the repository, and so that it's there, and anyone can use it. We are working on auto building images, starting with a custom kernel compile, because we don't need audio drivers or SCSI or 8 different VGA chip drivers. We don't need any of those things. There's many things we don't need that come by default in the Linux kernel, whether it's Debian or CentOS or anything. And so we're going to be opening. There's a project called MP3. It's one of the mini projects Matt laid out, and that project is all about how images are made and so on. And as part of that effort, we're going to have a way to auto build from scratch the kernel with just the modules we needed to load into QEMU or Firecracker or KubeVirt or whatever it is we're going to go to. But it's all those things are VirtIO based, so it should just be the VirtIO drivers for the network, uh, and the ID and an IDE driver, I guess.
So Derek, one quick question: like you, like all of that, you're talking about making the image build more efficient, right? Like you can still automate the current status quo by putting in like a make file, just like all the other images are. But what you're saying is not only will it be automated from like a macro perspective, but actually forming the basis for the virtual image itself also will be automated for those images that you're talking about.
Yep. Yes. Because Firecracker and KubeVirt, if you want to realize the benefits of those things, you have to do that anyway. If you read the documentation and look what people are actually doing, they're building their kernel from scratch.
Cool.
And before they do that, let's say you want Debian flavored. Let's say we want a Debian image, right? And we just Debian CentOS is what I think we're going to end up supporting, because they're the most common things. Debian, what you can do is download the kernel source, and then you can download Debian patches, and then there's a tool that Debian has. It's basically a bash script, and it applies Debian specific patches to a specific version of the kernel. And then you can take the example config from Firecracker or from KubeVirt, the kernel config, and we'll have to customize it because it's not exactly what we want in either case. But like they disable a bunch of networking stuff like GRE, and some IP features, which are actually, we should have those things in there for the labs because it's network automation. But we can enable those things, and then with that we can build the kernel. And because we did it with either the Debian or the CentOS patches, after we do that, we can actually build an ISO from that with either the Debian packaging tools or Yum, uh, to make a long story short, and then we effectively have an optimized CentOS or Debian image. And the reason why it's important to go through this again, this trouble, is because eventually we kind of want to get to a place where we're using something like Firecracker or KubeVirt, but also because the boot time is like an eighth of a second when you do this, and you know that's a good thing. That's what we want. And to give you an example of why that's beneficial, Cumulus does the exact same thing. They build the kernel from scratch, and their whole system runs in under 200 megs of RAM, or like 220 megs of RAM, and it boots in like 3 or 4 seconds. That's pretty good for a virtual network appliance. So we'll start developing that inside the MP3 docs, and if anyone has experience building images, then by all means, please contribute, and we'll try to make this successful.
So there's actually two parts. There's two sort of like areas of build automation that I think will make this really sweet. The build, like the micro level stuff that you're talking about, will make it so that we don't need to reinvent the wheel every time we make an image, because that's kind of what we have to do right now, right? We have to basically start with something that exists because we don't have the tools to build it from scratch, and usually that means the trade-off is we incorporate a lot of things we don't need. On the other hand, we also do already have automated building of whatever images we do have, even though they're not super efficient. They're at least automatically built from like a macro level, meaning whatever you put in the source, like if you open a PR and that PR is merged, then every night that content is built. So if we can point where a lot of micro levels.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Matt, you were getting real choppy there. Now you're cut off. We can't hear you. Okay.
Derek?
Yeah.
If I may, customize images or optimized images. Have you heard about the Bento project? This is something I came across that seems to build lots of images for lots of virtualization systems, like many cloud flavors, which uses Packer. And I don't know if that could be something useful because they seem to have something that is automated. Um, so there are a few projects like that build a lot of images and with a kind of solid base to reuse, and which seem to be used by many cloud providers to deploy images. So I don't know, maybe our case is more particular, and or we can reuse those systems like reusing Packer or reusing something else that maybe is future-proof or tested by other people. I don't know.
Yeah, we can look into that. If we can get Packer to build the custom kernel for us and actually build a Debian image with the Debian kernel patches and put all the APT tools on there, then that'd be great. I mean that would be great. We'll have to look at it.
So I shared a link to the GitHub page.
For Packer.
I think there are also other likes. Bento is one, and there are others. And I basically came across that looking for Vagrant compatible stuff. So maybe Stephen has also met those.
Okay, well, if you have, I know what Packers. If there's other tools that you're aware of, that would be, please share please share, even if you already have, please share again. Or update the MP3 doc with, we'll put a tool section in there of tools that we want to investigate. And I actually have to create the MP3 doc, come to think of it. But I'll create that today. And then if you have things you'd like to add to it, like different tools to investigate, then we can do that.
It's a Vagrant file for the the self-medicate uses a bento box. It uses it in Ubuntu bento box.
Yeah. This is quite straightforward, I guess, from many tutorials that say, okay, start from this base box and so on.
Okay, yeah, we'll check it out.
Also, I had a comment about what you mentioned initially about security. I'm not exactly sure I understood the use case or the goal, but I've been thinking about reusing stuff from Labtainers. Maybe you remember me talking about Labtainers a few times in the past month. Labtainers is using containers to run security-oriented labs. So maybe there are tons of reusable lessons that could be ported as is, which have security-oriented scenario. So I don't know if that can be useful to network automation people or if the two communities can live apart. But there are more than 30 different labs, so that could be useful.
Okay, yeah, we'll check it out. So, I mean, we're probably not going to go full security with a lot of our stuff. It should be um, you know, there's an intersection between networking and security. Like if anyone who's run networks before will be familiar with this, with things like ACLs and troubleshooting network flows and stuff like that, or routing on firewalls and things like that. And it's absolutely worth doing any sort of labs around like around those things, automation of those things. But anything like very hardcore, like I'm gonna say hardcore, but you know, if it's falls strictly within the security realm and has very little to do with networking, then we'll probably.
If you look at the link I've shared on the chat, of the Zoom chat, you can find there are many networking-oriented labs like ARP spoofing, Snort, Radius, Nmap, IP tables, Wireshark stuff. So what is different is that the topology is described in a custom way in Obtainers, but basically it could be ported like many nodes on a subnetwork and so on. And the images, they are already available as Docker containers. So basically it's just like rebuilding from the Docker files. So I don't have the time to experiment with that, unfortunately, but if someone is interested, I guess it could be an easy port. Or I would be interested in knowing if it is easy or not.
Yeah, I know you sent an email earlier that introduced us to the creator. Maybe it's time to rekindle that. See if there's a way we can collaborate. Because it'd be, I mean, obviously we are able to port it ourselves if we have the time. Many of us don't. But what a better option would be is if we could actually work together somehow on it.
Maybe
Rather,
they are
rather than
based
do our own thing.
I think they are based in California and some Navy, higher education school, whatever.
Cool.
Okay. Thank you, Oversix. That's actually yeah, that's all great input. We should definitely get that into I'll open up the MP3 doc, and maybe what I'll do then is Matt's doing this for a hackathon, but maybe we should open up like a security related doc, right? And how we create, what kinds of security things we would cover, and that kind of thing, because it's something that we haven't really done before. So
While we're still kind of on the subject of images, I want to bring up something that is tangentially related, I'll say. And that is one of the things that I've been meaning to do since we started Unpack It was get PTR running again. And I actually did manage to do that last week. So PTR is back up and running, and it's even better than before because I'm not going to be using it we're not going to be using that for any platform testing going forward. That was part of the, I think, confusion of PTR last time. Even though the intention was that it was meant to test curriculum, we weren't always good about that. So we're going to be a lot more disciplined about that going forward. If you read the docs, I'll send a link later, but there's a section in the docs under the release planning for the curriculum that articulates this. PTR is basically going to be used only for curriculum testing, which means it's going to be set to the same stable version of the underlying antidote platform as production. And the other thing that's new is every night it gets rebuilt. So I built a Stackstorm rule and workflow that basically goes through all of the Docker images that are in the master branch of the repo, builds them from scratch, which is the automation I was talking about before. So if we join that at the hip with the work Toad's doing, it'll be pretty badass. But right now, basically what's happening is we're going into each image directory that has a make file, and we're running make Docker, and those get uploaded to the latest tag for each curriculum image. Now, obviously, that's not going to affect anything that's in the production site because we're using versioned releases for there, so that's fine. But for PTR, we're just using latest for the images in the curriculum. And so the workflow, what it'll do is it'll build all those images, and then it'll reset PTR so that it uses them. The cool thing about that is basically every night we have we update the PTR site. to reflect the latest of the master window. Previously, we were able to do that, but it was more of a manual thing, and we didn't include any of the image builds. So it was kind of like half done. So I'm really happy about that I got that done last week, because that was one of the biggest things that I was waiting on, sort of the tying up loose ends from the last release. So PTR is back up, and if you open a PR on the curriculum and it gets merged and gets into master, within the next 24 hours, it'll be shown on PTR that way.
All right. PTR. I'm excited to have PTR back. It's, I'm going to celebrate when that happens. I'm going to cook a steak, drink a beer.
A new tattoo?
What's that?
A new tattoo?
A new tattoo? No, I don't think so. I think I'm going to wait a little while for the next one. I want the first one to heal. That would be good. It's very annoying, the waiting for it to heal. It's itchy, and it's driving me crazy at night. Oh, it is back up. Oh, nice.
PTR? Yeah, dude. That was what I was saying. It's done. It's up.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then every night at midnight it gets reset with the latest.
Okay, sweet. Okay. So are there any other thoughts or comments on this has been largely about, well, two things: how we approach security related content on the site, and how images are going to be built going forward, and what kind of images we're going to be working on in particular. Are there any thoughts, any other thoughts on that before we move on? Because we have one other small item. Nope. Okay. I shouldn't say it's a small item. It's actually pretty well done. What in marketing we call a two-pager about our project that Lisa put together. It's up in GitHub. I will put a link in the meeting notes about that. If you haven't looked at it, you should. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and open that up.
And so just note that is very specifically, I created the file name with the September date for a reason, because a lot of the stats that are on the first page will obviously change from one month to the next, and hopefully they will go up. So we just need to be cognizant of the dates, you know, 3 months from now, we should make sure that we've got updated stats. At least once a quarter, we should update it to make sure that the stats are current before we, send it out to the world and things like that. Olivier, when you pinged me earlier this morning, I already sent you the Word version, so you have it in your email.
Okay, great.
Also, the French translations that Olivier put up for the intro video are published. The subtitles, the title, and the description. It's still on it's not the highest priority, but we're still going to be doing a StackStorm plugin that'll automatically update the translations once somebody submits them as a file to the YouTube translation repository, and that's committed. Then we'll have an automation that will, but just like our nightly builds, will update the video on YouTube with those translations. But the first video was the intro video that Matt did way back in October of last year, and that's if you speak French and would like to admire Olivier's work, you can check that out on the YouTube site.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci. Well, thank you. Merci.
De rien.
I don't know. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I don't know French.
You'd better practice, Matt. I'm waiting for you in Lyon.
That is, I am mastering just those 2 words, and I'm going to do it right.
Oh, okay. It's enough, I guess.
S'il vous plaît, merci. We'll take you far. So actually, on the topic of Lyon, just to clarify my comments on Discord, but what I was suggesting was that we might pick, which day are you speaking, Matt?
29th.
Yes. Yeah.
Which day of the week is that?
I think it's a Tuesday.
Tuesday. So yeah, we might pick.
Yeah.
We might pick either that evening or else sometime on Wednesday, so that he can mention it during his talk. I mean, obviously we need to do it at the same time, but we should plan for it for I think after his talk.
I would appreciate that.
I don't know. You're breaking up, Matt.
I would appreciate that.
You're still breaking up pretty severely.
Try typing, Matt. What's fine? Alrighty.
We can also, as the planning for that becomes more serious, we can host other meetings, either on Discord or on Zoom. This Zoom link will work at any time of day, so for anyone. So if as you're moving along with that, Lisa, Olivier, Matt, and whoever else wants to be a part of that or part of the planning for that, you can use this Zoom link to host a meeting. Just we can announce it on the forum site and inside the Discord, and that to let people know that meeting's happening and that the planning for that is.
In any case, I guess I'll be only staying in Lyon for one night. So probably arriving early in the morning the day that Matt's speaking, and leaving the day after, maybe in the evening too. So probably after his speech would be the best place, unless there are so many people and you want to have some more serious work session in the morning, something like that. But I guess in a bar somewhere near the business center, whatever it is called, which is not close to the center of Lyon, but it's not that far, or maybe inside somewhere around the trade show, and we can have those people gathering there and just saying hi, discussing, and for, I don't know, a few hours or 1 hour.
An hour or two is probably sufficient.
Yeah.
It's definitely a good idea. If we have some notion of how many people are coming and whom, then we can plan a bit of an agenda. We don't have a lot of time though, right? Because it's just in a few weeks.
Yeah.
So let's so if we want to do it Tuesday the 29th, then let's say Tuesday the 29th.
Yeah.
And let's get pick a place fairly soon, and then I can reach out to the folks at the Linux Foundation and see if they can help promote. And the other question, and Olivier, you may know this better, there may be some sort of networking or open source or DevOps meetup in Lyon that we can perhaps connect with that group and invite them and ask them to help promote also.
There are probably some, but so far no one seems to have noticed my tweet, and I don't. Well, I have a few names I could probe, but I'm not so well introduced in the Lyon community, so I don't know. There's also a few side events like embedded Linux conference, stuff like that. Maybe there is something about networking specifically, or other gatherings that I'm not aware of. I didn't check the whole lineup of the event to know if maybe there are potential people interested. Maybe Matt will be more knowledgeable in any case. I hadn't have the time to do that yet. So
Yeah, no, that's fine. So I can, as I say, I can work the Linux Foundation side of things, including the conference.
also, I was thinking about people from Conservancy, maybe.
I strongly doubt they would be at a Linux Foundation event.
Okay.
They have rather
Yeah.
different philosophies.
Yeah, I know, but who knows? You know, Richard Stallman spoke at Microsoft recently, so things happen.
Yeah. How much is meetup.com used in France?
It should be used, I guess. So yeah, we can probably use that.
Well, the reason I ask is because I'm wondering if there are meetups in Lyon, if they would be on meetup.com.
Could be.
All right, I'll take a look there as well. So if you can handle finding a venue, then I can start looking at outreach.
Yeah. Let's say that we won't be more than 10 people, and I'm looking for a bar or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds fine. Someplace relatively quiet, maybe has a back room or something like that.
Yeah, if we can. I remember a place where we went with Tim Berners-Lee for a W3C dinner. I booked once, so maybe I can reuse that. But well, there are plenty of restaurants in Lyon, but it depends the time, distance, and so on.
Yeah. Yep. So, and if we need a little bit of funding to secure a place, let us know, and we'll see what we can figure out.
Okay. Or maybe if you can arrange to have some goodies in addition to the leaflet, stickers or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have an account opened with Sticker Giant for NRE Labs. If we need stickers, I can create lots of them for sure. In fact, I'll do that. Lisa, how many stickers do you have left?
I don't know. I can find out when I go into the office today.
Okay. I mean, just let me know if I don't. We might have 1,000 sitting in there. I don't know, but if we don't, then I'll definitely. I'll just order some more. I can, in fact, send them. I'll send them to Olivier. I still owe him an NRE Labs loot box.
Hey, yeah.
I owe you. I owe you a loot box. I started going down the path to figuring out how to have that done, and it's actually incredibly complicated. So I talked to some different companies about how to do that well, so that it's not just some beat up cardboard box with a bunch of junk in it. And it's that right now there's zero companies that will do one-off loot boxes. Like they expect us as an organization to subscribe to some service in which we tell them these are the items you want, and then they do all the packaging, and they do this on a monthly basis, and we give them a list of places to send the boxes to. And you sign up for like a year's worth of that service, and it's incredibly expensive to have this done. So that's not what we want in this case. We want to be able to say, hey, here's a loot box, and it may be I end up grabbing a cardboard box and throwing some things into it and sending it. That might end up being what it is. Until, but you know, it got sidetracked from there. But I owe you a loot box. At the very least, what I can do is for sure send you, as you're almost you are officially our French representative. I'll send I can send a whole bunch of stickers to you, for sure.
Okay, great. I'll give you more details. By the way, Lisa, I was just checking. There are plenty of Lyon-based groups like DevOps, Tech People, whatever, Docker Lyon. Maybe that could be an interesting community. I don't know. Afterworks of different groups and so on. So, but I'm not part of that, obviously. But yeah, maybe.
Okay, so either if you want to reach out to them directly and see if there's interest, or you can point me to them and I can reach out, either way.
Other than that, so I'm pretty busy. So go ahead if you can try. Yeah, and tell me.
Okay. Should I copy you?
Yeah, please.
Okay, I will. All right. Sorry to hijack things that weren't on the agenda, but I think this was important to talk about since we don't have a lot of time. Derek, is there anything else we have on the agenda?
No, that was it. Just image talk, the 2-pager, and actually, yeah, it's fine. That's something that needs to be talked about, is the Lyon thing.
Okay.
That's
It's too bad. I was looking for networking in Lyon, and of course there are lots of meetups like entrepreneur networking and stuff. It's not like automation.
Well, that's okay. If it's a network engineering meetup, that doesn't have to be about automation.
No. He was saying
just like
networking,
meeting people.
like meeting people. Networking was what he was finding.
Oh yeah, the fake kind of networking.
Yeah, human networking, you know.
Okay. And you were finding these people on meetup.com? You were finding these groups on Meetup? Okay.
Yeah. You can select the location and then afterwards you can enter keywords and stuff like that. So
okay. I will poke around after between meetings and such. All right, sounds good.
Okay. I'm not sure I got all the notes from that Lyon conversation. I'm just going to put in the notes that I don't know. Give me a couple key things to put in the notes there, because I didn't.
So Tuesday, the probably evening of the 29th.
Meetup. Time. Evening of the 29th.
We'll figure out the time shortly. We need to figure out time and place. I don't know. What do you think? I think that the sessions end around 5 or something like that. And I don't know. What's that?
Yeah, 5 to 6.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's gonna be staying around for 6 o'clock sessions though. And I think that there's usually because that's the first full day of the conference. I think there's usually some sort of shindig on the show floor.
Like in the evening on the first day, there's like an open, with food, like a reception for the attendees.
Yeah. And so I don't know if we want to try and compete with that or if we want to do it after that.
From my remembering, the place where it happens has a few hotels and maybe, but would be more friendly, probably in downtown Lyon, in a typical restaurant, something like that. So I would suggest to escape the official program and do our stuff, but I don't know, it depends on jet lag, people not wanting to go out, whatever.
Well, so Olivier, are you going to, as a takeaway, are you going to find a place for us for the meeting?
Yeah, I'm trying, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean,
I would say no to competing with it because
yeah,
every time that I've attempted to do that, it's been a failure. Um,
yeah,
you know, I highly recommend against competing against that portion of the event. That's one of the things people really enjoy doing because the layout of the food, especially in Europe, is usually like outstanding. And there's, you know, wine and good beer and a lot of the sort of Juniper celebrities are there walking around talking to customers. Like it'd be tough getting people to not want to do that. So I highly recommend against competing with that event.
yeah. So, by the same token, I mean, certainly downtown Lyon it'd be more fun. I think it depends on whether we're expecting a lot of people to come from the event or from other, like, local meetup groups.
Yeah.
Um,
I guess this is the first edition of such an open source summit in France, in Europe, organized by the Linux conference. So I don't know if the attendance is more local or more European, if people feel adventurous or. Okay, but I trust you if you prefer that. Not competing. I mean, I
No, no,
trust.
no. Let me. I think both of you are misunderstanding. I think you should go downtown to Lyon. When people travel, especially to France, right, and you're in a place like Lyon, people enjoy going out, even if they have jet lag. But they're in France. They're gonna go eat awesome food and drink great wine and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, don't do the event at the same time they're doing the
Yeah.
other.
Okay. Okay. Got
yeah,
it. Got
yeah.
it.
I'm just worried if we like how far away is the convention center from downtown?
I don't remember public transport. I guess it's not that far, but it's not really convenient. It's like half an hour walk, maybe.
Is it the center? It's the Palais de Congrès de Lyon. Is that it?
Yeah, it should be that. It's uh, close to the river, next to a park, and
Oh, you're not that far from downtown. It's more or less. It's just yeah. It's yeah, exactly. It's right next to a park that borders downtown on every street.
it's close to Europol. You know, the European police organization.
Oh,
So
so you
everybody should behave, is what you're saying.
yeah.
Yeah. So it is not far, but it is still. I mean, yeah, 20 minutes, 30 minutes to find a nicer place.
Mhm.
But my memories of Lyon date back to like 20 years, but so maybe it has evolved a bit.
Yeah. But I'm just worried if it's far away from the convention center, people may or may not be willing to go that far for something that they aren't necessarily deeply attached to.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. I'm not sure how many people will come also like an after work from Lyon, not especially attending the conference, but wanting to.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. If it's more local
Yeah.
people, then maybe downtown is better. If it's more people from the conference, then maybe towards the conference center is better.
Yeah,
There are a lot of restaurants that are within 10 minutes.
yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah, the best place is the confluent, is it in English? Yeah, of the two rivers. You know, it's the oldest part, the historic center of Lyon, but it's a bit far away. But there are so many restaurants in Lyon. Come, people, come.
Yeah. I see. Yeah, I see what you're saying. There's a fork in the river.
Yeah, it's the second district, and it's really.
Yep.
Anyway.
All right. Well, hmm. Why don't we? I don't know. Why don't you explore both possibilities, both near the convention center and also downtown, and in at the same time, I'll work on outreach and we'll figure out what makes the most sense.
Yeah. And I'll book my tickets too.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I think I'm gonna close this out.
Right.
And I'm gonna put the notes that I remember to type in. The notes and the agenda are now going to be combined into one post for people who, just so everyone knows, and they're always going to be posted as a wiki. So any of us on the call, if there's something I missed in the notes, please add it. Just click edit and add it, so that it, there's no reason why everyone can do that. So unless there's any other standing items, I'm going to call time of death.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Okay, take care.